Bets on PrizePicks, Underdog Fantasy. There's some decent plays available, so we might as well go through it. So the first play that looks pretty solid on PrizePicks is Michael Mayer under 7.5 receiving yards. So you can see I already have this play pulled up on PrizePicks. And again, what makes PrizePicks a really interesting, unique platform, however you want to think about it, is they have fixed payouts, right? That's really the reason PrizePicks is exploitable. You take the overs, you take the unders, whatever. You're always getting the same payout, 3x for a 2-pick entry. Any 2 picks you select, right? So the strategy for beating them is pretty simple. Compare their lines to the sports books, and you can see here, Pinnacle, which is known to be a sharper sports book, they've been ripping odds lower. They now have Mayer all the way down at minus 146. So they have this guy heavily favored to go under 7.5 receiving yards. So that play seems pretty good, right? That's the first play we can go with. And then we can see okay, again, there can be value on any sports book. So we want to see what else is there. So the next play is Jimmy G. And this play has, a little lower of a profit margin compared to the previous play. But it's the same strategy, right? PrizePicks gives us the same payout if we take the over or the under. So the strategy for beating PrizePicks largely is compare their lines to the sports books and find spots where the books have an under heavily favored, right? Like here. It's not just one sports book. You have DraftKings, $10 billion company, right? They have him heavily favored to go under. Bet Online, another pretty sharp sports book. They've been ripping odds. You can see from minus 125 to minus 145 on his under. So all these books have him heavily favored to go under. So that's the pick we want to be on. But anyways, what we can do is we can now go back to, let's go to the fantasy optimizer and let's just see what other plays does it have for us and see if there's any value. So this play I thought was quite good. I mean, I already used it in a previous slip, but if we just kind of pull up Sounds, this line right here, so hopefully we have some cashes with our, esports, with our NFL picks, and then, we'll have a pretty good play open for the NFL, for CSGO. What am I saying? But you can see here, here, it's a little bit different. Here, there's no it's not like all the books have the line set at the same level. So if you look at this play on, on Mayer, all the books have his line at 7.5. The reason we like this play is every book has the under heavily favored, right? Every sports book is saying, he's a lot more likely to go under 7.5 receiving yards as opposed to over. Now, for this play on Sound, so let's go back here. Let's go to this play here. It's sure, there's no major discrepancy in odds. Here, it's a line discrepancy. PrizePicks has a line at 37. JockMKT, another fantasy site, has a line at 39. And then Hot Streak, which is a sports book, where there's actually some pretty good value on Hot Streak. But you can see they have his line significantly higher at 39.5, 40.5, 39.5. So this play seems decent on PrizePicks, right? They have their line too low relative to the other data points we have in the market. But we can see what else is available. You can see maybe his headshot line has better value. So you can see Hot Streak has his headshot line at 24.5. PrizePicks has the line at, 23. So maybe we want to go with this play instead. And again, the benefit here is these two plays, I mean, not a ton, but maybe slight positive correlation, right? If the Raiders have the ball less, then Jimmy G's more likely to go under. Michael Mayer's more likely to go under. So that's something that, is really exploitable about PrizePicks is, very simple example, but PrizePicks, they won't change your payouts. Again, it's a fixed payout platform. So you can exploit, sometimes they add in these payout shifts, which is a little annoying. But in general, so you don't want to play payout shifts in general. But in general, you can find some positive correlation. I guess not in passing versus receiving yards anymore, but I thought you could. But anyways, if you take, passing completions, A.J. Dillon, well, here's a play that this wasn't available earlier, but let's take a look at A.J. Dillon. So this play is interesting as well. That just popped up. So A.J. Dillon, PrizePicks just added a touchdown line for him. So it seems like there's good value on the under here, right? So maybe we don't want to include this in the same slip as Jimmy G to go under or Michael Mayer to go under. But you can see all the sports books, like Fliff right here. Where do they have A.J. Dillon? So if we go here to total touchdowns, I believe that's what the market's called. This play seems quite good. So you can see A.J. Dillon is a big favorite to go under. They have a minus 175, right? So again, on PrizePicks, like this is a platform where they give you the same payout over or under, unless they add these payout shifts. But you can see here for A.J. Dillon, we take his over, we take his under. We're still getting a 10x payout. But I wouldn't want to pair that with Jimmy G because you don't want to take unders from opposing teams in terms of touchdowns. Like someone's got to score in the game. So when we're playing things on the same game, we just want to be a little conscious of the correlation. But anyways, what we can do is we can go back here and we can see what else is out there. So this play seemed quite good as well. I mean, this game starts pretty soon, but if we go to CSGO, right, and we take a look at, so my screen stopped sharing. Let me go back here. Let me share my screen. I'm not sure what just happened. So there we go. Now it should be sharing. But if you look at this player, Mateos, PrizePicks has his line at 32.5. Hot streak, you want to consider the juice as well, right, when we're considering what we want to bet. So let's go here and let's go to CSGO. And let's take a look at this player, right? PrizePicks has his line at 32.5. Hot Streak has the line at 34.5. But not only that, they have the over pretty heavily juiced. They have the over juiced to minus 161. So they're saying, first of all, the line should be higher at 34.5. And we think the over is pretty heavily favored, right? They have minus 161 juice towards the over. PrizePicks line at 32.5, Hot Streak 34.5 with the over favored. And then you can see the other DFS sites, ParlayPlay, Underdog, have a line at 33.5, 34.5. And you can see they move it on me as I'm talking about it, which is super annoying. But it looks like they literally just bumped that while I was talking about it. But anyways, we can go back here and let's just see what other plays you got for me that you're recommending. So we have Raga over 37. There's some different CSGO plays. So we can go here to over 37, right? And the only thing I want to make sure is, we're not even going to be able to play this, is you can't play in CSGO. They don't let you pair players from the same team. So I'm going to have to skip over that. But what we can do is we can go to this next player. Did they pull the line? Or maybe the game's about to start? I'm not sure. It looks like they pulled that line on us. So damn. And there's some good value on these punt plays. So if we're taking A.J. Dillon, no touchdown, what would make sense to pair together is A.J. Cole. So if we go here, I already have this play, A.J. Cole over in punts. It looks like they already DNP'd one of these players from earlier. But if we go to the NFL, like this play seems pretty good, right? Or that's not what I want to take. I want to go back here and I want to take Wheelan over 3.5 punts. So this play, something like this, and then I want to go to A.J. Dillon, no touchdown, right? Okay, so, and then this play on Mayer is fine. So why do we like this play on Dillon? It's, again, very simple. It's just we're following the data. I obviously follow a very data-driven approach. But if you look at the market, right, A.J. Dillon is heavily favored to not score a touchdown. Caesars, you can see a lot of these books, they only have one-way markets. They only give you can't bet on a player to not score a touchdown. You can only bet on a player to score a touchdown. But you can see they have him plus 120. So you can kind of assume they would have the under probably similar to Fliff at minus 175. Fliff has the over at plus 120. But they also give you odds on the under, whereas on Caesars, they only have one-way markets. You can only bet on a player to score a touchdown. But it's clear A.J. Dillon's a really big underdog to score a TD. So this play seems pretty good. And then if we take the Green Bay punter to go over, I mean, that pairs pretty nicely together, right? If A.J. Dillon doesn't score a touchdown, Green Bay's probably punting the ball more. Maybe that play from the optimizer is good to pair with it. So again, like this tool is just going to point out discrepancies in the market. Some of these plays get bumped pretty quickly, which is obviously annoying. But oh, this play works well as well. So this play actually, now we're coming up on something I really like. So we have Daubs under 4.5 receptions. So you can see here, Underdog, Jock Market have the line at 4. So if you take a look here, right, all these other fantasy sites have his reception line at 4. Sportsbooks have his line at 3.5. PrizePicks has his line at 4.5 receptions. So it also pairs pretty nicely with A.J. Dillon under. And then this is just, there's not going to be much. So we can kind of hit this for the max allowed. And you can see they only give me $25 max. We've beaten them for too much, but let's kind of go through this. So here we have a nice little 5-pick entry. We have a CSGO play. We have this play, right, from the positive EV tool. So again, on PrizePicks, when you kind of go through the math behind PrizePicks, it all boils down in terms of your profitability to can you win these over-unders, right? Like A.J. Dillon, over-under. If you can win your more or less on PrizePicks, if you can win your picks above 54.25% of the time, I mean, I'm literally just breaking down the math behind a flex play, is if you can win your picks above 54.25% of the time, you're going to be profitable playing, flex plays on PrizePicks. So why do we like this play on A.J. Dillon? All books have his under heavily favored. This is a play winning above 54.25% of the time. So it's a profitable pick that we can go with in a PrizePicks entry. Same thing with Michael Mayer, right? All the books have his under heavily favored. That's a pick winning above 54.25% of the time. So it's profitable in a PrizePicks entry, right? And they all pair well together too. Roughly, like if A.J. Dillon doesn't score a touchdown, if the Packers aren't driving the ball, they're probably going to be punting more. Punters more likely to go over. A.J. Dillon's less likely to score. Romeo Doubs is less likely to get receptions. So this play seems solid. But what we can do is let's refresh. Let's see if there's anything on Fliff. So this play still seems really good. I know I gave it out earlier at a better price, at better odds. I hit this at plus 110 in a parlay. But you can see here, right, like in the Packers-Raiders game, Jacoby Myers, Fliff is the only sports book that has Myers favored to go under, right? They have him favored to go under. They have his under at minus 145. You look at every other sports book, they all have him, BetMGM, Caesars, FanDuel, DraftKings. You have all these billion-dollar companies, really sophisticated models. They all have, Myers heavily favored to go over 4.5 receptions, minus 120, minus 125. Like all these books are juiced towards the over. So they're saying, the over's more likely than the under. So the way I kind of like to think about these plays is, plus 100 odds is kind of like flipping a coin with your friend for $100, right? Like if head shows up, you get $100. If tail shows up, your friend gets $100. Kind of like flipping a coin for $100. But in this case, the coin is weighted in our favor, right? All these other sports books have Myers favored more likely to go over, right? They all have his over 4.5 receptions, minus 120s. Like literally every other sports book has his over favored. Bet Online has him minus 130, pretty sharp sports book. Hot Streak has him favored, minus 124, minus 117. Pinnacle, which is known to be one of the sharpest bookmakers, they have his over favored, minus 128. So every data point in the market is saying, hey, he's more likely to go over as opposed to under. So that seems like a good play to go with. What else do we have? Damn. So you can see early line movement. I'll have to hit some of these bets. What else do we have? So we have some bets showing up. Jimmy G under 1.5 passing touchdowns. So there's some different options that we could go with. So like another play we could possibly go with is, if we just kind of want variation. So we have this first play. So we have Mayer under 7.5. So this play on A.J. Dillon is probably the best play on PrizePicks right now. You can see Fliff has him, as a minus 175 favorite to go under, if we go here, right? He's a huge favorite to go under, to not score a touchdown. So that seems like a great play to go with. But what we can do is we can build one final slip. I'm kind of all over this Jimmy G play already. But again, like just following the data, you take a look here, all sports books have him heavily favored to go under 1.5 passing TDs. BetMGM, Caesars, DraftKings, like so many people, they try to, create their own models and stuff like that. It's like BetMGM's a $10 billion company. You're not going to create better models than them, better models than Caesars and DraftKings. The entire market is aligned. Every sports book, right, has Jimmy G heavily favored to go under. So that's a good play to go with on PrizePicks. That's winning, again, above 54.25% of the time and makes it profitable in a 5 flex play. So Jacoby Myers, you can see some early bets starting to pop up. Crazy, right? Line discrepancies. A lot of the best bets are early. So like here, it's like, there's not only value on PrizePicks. What is FanDuel doing? They have this line at plus 105. All the other books opened it at minus 115. So a lot of the best bets you'll see are when sportsbooks first start to open the market, release odds, for the upcoming week. Like the play we had on the previous live stream was Kamara over 58.5 rushing yards. You can see they already bumped him up to 67.5. So a lot of these good bets, sportsbooks first release odds, then they kind of like fall in line with one another as they realize they're screwing up. So here, FanDuel screwing up pretty big, offering the under 23.5 at plus 105, and all the other books have the under favored. So this is like the same thing, right? I mean, this plays even better, right? Because all the books have the under favored and you're getting plus 105. It's like flipping a coin with a friend where you get $105 if it shows up heads. And according to all these other sports books, heads is the more likely outcome, right? It's like flipping a coin. You lose 100 if it shows up tails. You win 105 if it shows up heads. And you can see all these other sports books are saying, yo, the under is more likely. Heads is more likely. So it's like getting a coin weighted in our favor. The coin's weighted to show up on heads more often than tails. And we're getting plus 105. We're betting 100 to win 105. So that seems like a good play. But again, like the strategy is different on these fixed payout platforms like PrizePicks because it all boils down on these platforms. There is no odds, right? You look at FanDuel, it's a bunch of numbers. It's a bunch of odds. Whereas you look at PrizePicks, it's just these fixed payouts, right? And it all just boils down to can you win 54.25% of your picks? So we can go back here and we can see if there's anything else we kind of want to go with. I mean, so here, for example, there's another punt play with a little bit of value. Like this would be a good play to go with, right? All three of these picks probably have some positive correlation. Again, unders, overs, you're getting the same payout on PrizePicks, 5x. For a 3-pick entry, you don't want to go with 3-pick entries on PrizePicks. A 5x payout is, pretty shitty. And you can see that because if you look at Underdog, any of these 3-pick entries, they give you a 6x payout. So we have 2 good picks, right? These are positively correlated. Jimmy G. So we found 2 plays with value, right, on PrizePicks, and they pair well together. They're positively correlated. Again, the profit margin on this play isn't the highest, but if all the books have Jimmy G heavily favored to go under, and then for Mayer, all the sports books have him heavily favored to go under 7.5 receiving yards. And taking a quarterback's under with his receivers, tight ends under, obviously like these plays have a little bit of correlation. So, all these plays are correlated. The Raiders not scoring the ball a lot, not moving the ball a lot. Jimmy G more likely to go under. Same with Mayer, and AJ Cole's more likely to go over in terms of punts if they're having a bad game. So these plays pair well together. And then we can just kind of lock in like whatever. We can just add these 2 final CSGO plays. Because again, you really want to go with these 5-pick entries on PrizePicks. So we can go right here. Right? 3-pick or 5-pick entry. I apologize. And again, like I would bet more, but they're only going to let me hit this for a max of $25. But these players are in the same game, so I can't even include them anyways. So let me refresh this. Maybe there's some new plays out there. And nope. So whatever. We can venture a little lower. We have 4 really good picks. They're also positively correlated. So we can just head over to Valorant, take Bess over 28.5. You can see Underdog has his line at 30. Right? So again, like, it's helpful to understand the correlation on some of this stuff because all 3 of these plays are good to pair together, right? Mayer under, Jimmy G under, AJ Cole over and punts. So that's something that makes PrizePicks Underdog Fantasy pretty exploitable, is this correlation, whereas it's not useful on sportsbooks because they don't have fixed payouts. So you'll notice here is if I go to FanDuel and I go to, player passing yards and I take Jimmy G over and I take Devontae Adams over, FanDuel only gives me plus 157 odds on this parlay. Jimmy G over, Devontae Adams over, right? Whereas even though the odds are the same on the under, like you can see, Devontae Adams has the same odds on his over and his under. So you'd think, hey, FanDuel is going to give me the same payout. No, right? You take both overs, you're only getting plus 155. You take the over and the under, you're getting plus 387, so way better odds. And that's because, again, they're giving you a crappy payout, a lower payout on Jimmy G's over plus Devontae Adams over because these plays are positively correlated. If Jimmy G has a great game and throws for 300 yards, Devontae Adams, probably went over in receiving yards. That's his main target. But again, on PrizePicks, they don't change your payout in most cases. Sometimes they add in those payout shifts, but you can usually find your spots on PrizePicks where they're not adding in the payout shifts. And that's, a big benefit to betting on PrizePicks. Damn. So this play is just crazy. So if we go back here and we go to the arbitrage tool, well, anyways, let's go back here. Let's just go to ParlayPlay and let's try to lock in a play. So we can also lock in a play on ParlayPlay. Damn, and it looks like they have a fair amount of bets. So I have some plays open on ParlayPlay, but we can continue to go through. And again, this is a good book to have. It's very similar to PrizePicks, but they actually have a little bit higher payouts. They have better payouts than PrizePicks. And you can kind of see it's been a pretty profitable book for me. They just have low betting limits. I've only been using it for a few months. I'm already up $5,000 in profit, and they have pretty low betting limits. So you can see the first play it's recommending is Wheeler under 5.5 Ks. So it's like, okay, let's check out this play. And we can go here too. It's recommending Javier over 4.5 strikeouts. So the strategy is the same as PrizePicks, right? This is another sports book, another platform where they're not going to change your payout based on you selecting over versus under. Any 2-pick entry, you take him over, you take him under, you're going to be getting a 3x payout. So you want to take his over, right? Because all the sports books have him heavily favored to go over. I mean, you have tons of data points, right? All these billion-dollar companies, they're moving around lines based on where action's coming in. If all the sharp action comes in on the over, they'll move lines towards the over, right? The market isn't static. So all these books have the over heavily favored. So that seems like a good play to go with. But unfortunately, I already bet it, so I'm not going to be able to bet it again. But what we can do is we can add this play on Doubs as well. I mean, I know we included it on PrizePicks. But so I already hit that play on Javier, so I'm not going to be able to include it again. They have pretty low betting limits, unfortunately, on ParlayPlay. But what we can do is we can kind of lock in another little entry. So this play, right? It's like, okay, like all the sports books have his line at 3.5. Underdog Fantasy, I think they had the line at 4. So all the data points are telling us, ParlayPlay has their line too high at 4.5, which is why OddsJam's, recommending the under. What else do we like? So Jordan Love, I already have him under. So we can kind of try to create a little play very quickly. So we have Harris. So this I don't love to pair with Wheeler, right? I don't want to take a hitter's under and the opposing pitcher under in strikeouts. Like you'd rather take, Harris to go over, Wheeler to go under. If the Braves are having a great game and they're shelling Wheeler, he's more likely to go under, but he's more likely to go over. So just when you're including picks for the same game, you want to be a little bit conscious of the correlation. But anyways, let's go back here. Anything else we could possibly go with? Meh. Underdog Fantasy, pretty mediocre as well. So maybe we just call it a day for now. We got some good picks on PrizePicks. Super loud. But anyways, thanks so much.